Hello and welcome to Quickies with Angela and Katie.
I'm Angela Dawn of Authentic Heart Coaching. I'm a tantric sex coach and I help couples get closer.
And I'm Katie Wilkinson of Katie Coaches. I'm a sex, love, and relationship coach on a mission to help women and our partners create a better world through women's pleasure. Last month, we got into talking about non-ejaculatory orgasms toward the end of our double episode. So today we're going to talk about the practice of spreading pleasure throughout your body, which happens to be instrumental in learning to practice non-ejaculatory orgasms, so the timing is just right.
So, if you just stumbled onto our podcast and you haven't listened to last month's episodes, you might want to go do yourself a favor and do that first, but it's not required.
All right, so let's get into expanding pleasure. Your ability to notice the pleasure that you're feeling in your body helps you begin to experience more pleasure.
That's right, Katie. So, slowing down to notice what sensations you're feeling and where you're feeling those sensations is important to improving your sexual experience. This is something that you can do in your own self pleasure time or in partnered intimacy. But it's actually easier to begin this practice of staying with the body's sensations and noticing if you practice on your own first.
Once people get good at noticing what sensations they're feeling and where they're feeling them in their body, then it becomes possible to direct those feelings.
That's right. So people talk about this as directing energy, or you might have heard people say moving energy. Uh, Let me give you an analogy about how energy moves. So imagine that your hands are cold and you wrap them around a warm cup of cocoa. You've experienced before heat moving from the cup to your hand. In that same way, you can learn to move energy from one part of your body to another. Another analogy for you. When I'm talking about spreading energy with clients, one of the analogies I like is to think about being in a burning building. So if you're afraid the floor is going to collapse, you get low and you distribute your weight. In the same way, if we distribute our sensations of pleasure, then it doesn't come out all at once like a fire hose of an orgasm. So, what we're going for here in this pleasure distribution idea is that you're learning to experience pleasure in your whole body instead of just one area.
There are lots of ways to distribute pleasure. My favorite is using the breath.
Yes, I also love using the breath, and I'm going to give you all a little clue that I like to give my clients, but there are so many different ways to do this. So I actually put this quote on the wall at the swinger club that I sponsored a tantra room at. And the wall says, breathe into your pleasure, breathe out, and let the pleasure expand. So the idea here is that you're breathing into that sensation of pleasure, and on the exhale, you're breathing out and intending for that pleasure to expand. So just by intending to move your energy with your breath, you can actually change your orgasmic experience.
Yes. You can simply intend for the pleasure to move or to expand. For most people, this means visualizing the energy. Not, and when I say that, I don't, usually I'm a literal person, but here I don't mean like the way that atoms would look under a microscope or anything like that, not technically visualizing. It's more like you're imagining this golden sphere that represents your feelings of pleasure. You're imagining the sphere beginning to form, and you see it moving as you invite your pleasure to expand and to intensify slowly in the body.
So, when you're trying to learn to distribute pleasure or eventually have a full body orgasm via pleasure distribution, you are likely going to be using intention and breath and visualization all together. And we're going to have you do this in the guided portion of today's podcast. So, Katie, first we have to explain to our listeners, what is the microcosmic orbit?
So the first time I heard this term, this was in our sex coach training program with Layla Martin, and I thought it just sounded like complete woo-woo, spiritual, outer space, like no idea. I have since learned. This is the Taoist practice that can help you become more sensitive to energy and understand how that energy moves through the body in a circuit. So, as a general overview, the circuit begins in the lowest part of your torso, your genitals, your perineum, your cervix. You'll be imagining a ball of yummy sexual energy there. Then you'll be visualizing and intending and breathing to move this energy back up the again, up the back of the body to the top of the head and then down the front of the body back where it began. You're imagining this in a loop.
Yes. So you can run this orbit in two different directions. So the way Caity explained it, moving it up the back of the spine and then down the front of the body is considered the yang direction.
That one's my favorite.
Moving it up the front of the body and down the back is considered the yin direction. Each direction has different qualities, and I'd encourage you to try it both ways and experience those qualities. And at first, going in one direction or the other is probably going to feel easier, and that's the direction you should start your practice in. Eventually, as you become more attuned to energy in your body, it can be nice to do some practice sessions in each direction so that you're achieving some kind of balance within. So through this process, you're actually taking that ball of sexual energy in your genitals, and as you move it through this circuit, you are converting it into spiritual power. So it is actually some pretty high level stuff. And the side effect is that it feels fantastic and it can help you enjoy better sex and longer amounts of sexy time as well.
There are a ton of benefits. It can be used to reduce horniness, prevent sexual stagnation, improve your sexual health, open the flow of energy in the body, balance your internal energy, and more. And it just feels so good. The techie men that I've used this with have all really enjoyed it. And these are all like very cerebral men. More than one time, I've had them say something like, oh my gosh, I actually felt that. Now I get it. This energy stuff, this is what made this real for them. It was very powerful.
Beautiful.
So, the main aspect that we're talking about here is using the microcosmic orbit to train your body to expand from feeling pleasure in just your genitals to sensitizing the whole body and being able to get to extended orgasmic states. It's very powerful. And now for a taste.
Okay, so first, we're going to have you do a little breathing and perhaps some fantasizing to, get the juices flowing. So if you are in your cubicle at work or you're driving your car, you might just want to pause this this here and play the rest of this recording when you actually have some alone time. And I am going to put on some music and Caity is going to mute herself and I am going to lead us through an experience. As soon as I get the audio queued up. This is actually a big experiment for Caity and I because we've never done a guided meditation on the show before. So here we go. Let's get it going. Okay. So you're going to start out with a straight spine. So you can relax by lying down on your back, or you can be seated in an upright but comfortable posture. Close your eyes if that feels good to you. And in this upright position with your eyes closed, notice what parts of your body are in contact with your floor or your bed or a cushion beneath you. Allow yourself to relax and sink a little deeper into that surface. Let the surface hold you. And now begin to notice your breath in your body. Feeling how your belly expands a bit with each inhale and how it contracts a bit with each exhale. Breathing in and feeling that expansion. Exhaling and feeling that contraction. And in this way, you're going to follow the breath for several cycles. Just tuning into the body. Just being with your breath. Simply noticing the way that your body breathes. And as you're continuing to breathe consciously, I want to invite you to bring a sexy image to your mind, just to get the juices flowing for this exercise. So think of someone hot or a hot scenario until you can feel a bit of sexual energy just sparkling. You might feel that sparkling in your genitals. And once you feel a little bit of tingle, you're ready to begin. If you already have that tingle, you can drop the fantasy and just keep your attention on the feeling of the tingle. And now imagining that tingle in your genitals as a golden sphere of energy. And each time you breathe in, notice that that sphere grows a little larger and a little brighter. Breathing in and noticing it. With every inhale, notice it growing and glowing. Inhaling into that tingle, watching the sphere grow and glow with each inhalation. And on your next inhale, breathing into that sphere, and on the exhale, move this ball of light to your perineum. Inhale and exhale. Feel the ball expand and contract right at your perineum. And then on your next inhalation, drawing that sphere towards your anus. Feeling the ball expand and contract in this area as you breathe. And next, inhaling the sphere up your back to the level of your spine that's across from your navel. And breathing here with the sphere, letting it grow and glow. And then inhaling the sphere up to the level of your spine across from your solar plexus at the center of your body. Breathing with the sphere here, and then inhaling it to the level of your spine at your heart. Watching it glow in your mind's eye, breathing with it, and then inhaling it to the level of your spine, right across from the pit of your throat, and breathing with the feeling, with the sphere. And then inhaling it to the base of your skull. And again, inhaling it to the very top of your head. These are the points on the back side of the microcosmic orbit. Just continue inhaling and exhaling. And on your next exhale, move this ball of light down to your third eye, just above your eyebrows, in the middle of your forehead. Feel it there. And then I want to invite you to touch your tongue to the roof of your mouth and exhale the ball to the pit of your throat. And feel it there. Next, exhaling the ball to the center of your chest, to your heart space. And exhaling it down to the solar plexus in the middle of your body. And then exhaling it down to the front side of your abdomen. Inhaling and exhaling. Feeling it here, expanding and contracting. And we're going to continue moving at each point along the microcosmic orbit. So you're going to let this energy loop at a speed that feels good to you. So again, inhaling into the perineum. Inhaling the feeling into your anus. Inhaling it up to the level of your spine, across from your navel. Inhaling it to the level of your spine, across from your solar plexus. Inhaling it to the level of your spine, at the level of your heart. Up to the pit of your throat and the base of your skull and the very top of your head. Continue inhaling and exhaling it down to the third eye, touching the tongue, pit of your throat, center of your chest, solar plexus, and abdomen. And continuing this loop on your own so that you're inhaling, and in one complete inhale, pulling the ball up the back side of the body, and in the next complete exhale, letting it descend down the front side of the body. Inhaling it up the back side, exhaling it down the front side, and letting it loop here for the next several seconds. Breathing the energy up the back and down the front. And you can let this energy loop as quickly as feels good to you. Feeling it go up the back of the body with the inhale and down the front of the body with the exhale for a few cycles. And then, when you're ready, beginning to allow the loop to slow down and come to rest in your abdomen. When you're ready to end your process, you can visualize the energy gathering here in your abdomen. And you can place your hands on your abdomen, storing the energy there so it's accessible to you later.
That was beautiful, Angela.
Thank you, Katie.
beautifully guiding all of us through the experience. And personally, I feel like it's like that feeling you get after an orgasm a bit. That's what I'm experiencing right now. Just like that ease, relaxation throughout, body's lit up, a little bit tingly, deeply relaxed. That was divine.
Yes, thank you. I hope our listeners enjoyed this little experiment of a practice. And I hope they learned a little bit of something about how to play with sexual energy. And as I mentioned earlier in this episode, I'm going to be teaching other ways to move energy in my June full body O class. And that June full body O class is for couples or individual women. So definitely check out that link in the show notes if this practice got you going.
And just remember, this is only the tippy top of the iceberg. This is a
Oh,
very truncated version of this full experience.
it was a quickie, Katie.
We got a little quickie in there.
There was no warm up. It was just, let me show you how to do this one little thing. So,
Well,
yeah.
I feel great after our quickie. I hope everybody else feels great after our collective quickie. And that is all for this episode of Quickies with Angela and Katie. Thank you for listening, and please follow us and leave us a review on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
And if you'd like more great information on sex, love, and relationships, be sure to follow us on social media too. I'm on the web at AuthenticHeartCoach.com and on Instagram at AuthenticHeartCoaching.
And you can find me on katiecoaches.com as well as on Instagram at katiecoaches.
And I already mentioned my full body O workshop in June. So you can learn some techniques you can apply to non ejaculatory orgasm or multiple orgasm for women or men. I also have a couples retreat coming up in May near Charlottesville. And in Annapolis, I have my Get Closer signature workshop on May 4th.
We also have a free passion and desire guide available for straight and bi men to give you our top 7 tips for unlocking your woman's primal side, linked in the show notes below. And as always, we have our beloved Pussy Whispering on-demand masterclasses for women, for men, and for couples. Because you don't need any more superficial hot moves to take your sex life to the next level. That's amateur. What we bring is a completely fresh approach to the foundations of sex, and it's rooted in what women's bodies need the most. So you can learn more about that at Pussy Whispering, at pwclass.com to learn more about Pussy Whispering. And with that said, we'll see you next time on Quickies with Angela and Katie.